Hi, I'm Tom, and I've never seen the Titanic, but I have seen The Room at least 3 times.
And I'm Sean, and I think Forrest Gump is fine. There, I said it.
And this is Flix and Flops, the podcast where we watch movies, talk nonsense.
And pretend to know what we're doing.
Grab your snacks, lower your expectations, and let's ruin some cinema together.
Because nothing says film analysis like two friends arguing over whether Nicolas Cage is a genius or just bored.
All right, so welcome in, everybody. This is the first episode of Flix and Flops. Sean and I have been talking about doing this for ages, and now we are finally doing it now with our first show of Superman 2025 from James Gunn. Sean, I'll give you the reins first. What were your first impressions of Superman?
I mean, going into it, I already had a sense of. I've been watching James Gunn movies from like the beginning with Slither back in like, I think that came out in like 05, 06. So, especially considering like what he had already done with comic book movies like the Guardian series and the Suicide Squad. I already had pretty open expectations. Like everything he had kind of talked about wanting to execute was, seemed in line with kind of the idea of like, okay, we're going to follow the comics a little more than some of these other adaptations have, but we're also going to like play fun with it too. Like you can tell he's like what I'd call like an auteur, James Gunn. Like when he makes a movie, it's his style. I mean, like probably the most common ones nowadays for that are like Tarantino and whatnot, right? So I mean, initially, probably even 20 minutes in, I was like, okay, he's hitting the numbers here in a way that I really don't think had been hit since honestly the Donner movies, the first couple. Let's not say all of them kind of hit it, but I was very impressed with how he was kind of how he was kind of combining some of the different eras, like Golden Age, Silver. I mean, obviously, like the old 70s movies are like, epitome of like, I guess, classic Superman. This was kind of taking like a lot of like classic storylines, but I could also tell there was a lot of inspiration from newer storylines. And I mean, like you and I had said off camera, like Creature Commandos, I think was kind of my first indication that Gunn was gonna follow, um, a route that's kind of more aligned with the animated stuff. Because a lot of the animated movies, especially on the DC side, have always kind of hit the notes correct when it comes to like tackling what people love about comics so much and like translating it to the screen. So it was really refreshing to see that kind of happen in live action. What did you think?
I mean, I thought it was fantastic, and with a lot of Creature Commandos too, only James Gunn can make me cry about a robot that just wants to kill Nazis. Literally nothing else besides that. But I don't know, it was nice to see almost like this turn to ridiculousness of comic book movies because so many of them started taking themselves way too seriously. And if you look at a lot of the Marvel stuff lately, they are hitting it very heavy and very hard with a lot of really serious stuff and trying to take themselves like very stoically. But
Mm-hmm.
realistically, Superman is kind of ridiculous. It's a dude that wears a full on blue suit with red underwear over it. Like, we don't need to hide this anymore. Like the Zack Snyder, where it was just like this dark blue suit. And it was all like way too much for me. So I think it's really nice to have the bright blue colored suit back and lean into the absurdity, especially I think something like Krypto stole the show. It's every time Krypto came on screen, I was stoked. I loved seeing that dog. And because as we're watching the movie, I'm just looking over at you and I'm just stoked to see the freaking dog. It didn't matter to me what he was doing.
Yeah, literally. I mean, it's funny. You said like probably even like 3 minutes in, you're like, wow, like why is a live action movie never had crypto in it to this point? Which
Why
is
did we
like,
wait?
yeah, I don't really, which I mean, if they were going to try and do it with the approach they did, where they model it after James Gunn's dog and then did like pretty hyper realistic CGI, which I will say, with the way that CGI nowadays kind of looks sloppy in comparison to some of the older ones where you could tell like these motherfuckers were going with like frame by frame, like on every single, computer generated graphic. Like Krypto, I had no doubt in my mind that that dog was like, I mean, obviously I knew it wasn't a real dog, but like it never
The
looked, it
real dog
always,
wasn't flying around.
yeah, no, I know, shocker, right? No, but it always looked like very authentic to me. And I think, I'd say that about a lot of the graphics in the movie too. I mean, especially the fact that they nailed, they could have easily made the scene in the pocket dimension ether when like the black hole is swallowing them look like absolutely absurd, like hard to even follow what's going on. But even in like what is literally like a cosmic vortex, you could still tell what's going on, and like everything looked very realistic. I'll add to your point about the so the thing is, right, with the Snyderverse, right? Let's call it a stack. Man of Steel was never intended to be a universe starter. Okay? Like
I mean,
that
fair enough.
well, no, I mean like literally it wasn't supposed to be. What happened was is that they were going to lose, of course, it as with all things, it always comes to holding the rights. And when the I think it was the creator of Superman passed away, like the family was going to be able his family was going to be able to have access to the rights, so they had to start production on a Superman movie by like I think it was like 2010 2011, because Man of Steel ended up coming out I think in like 2013. um and obviously the movie comes out, but at the same time it comes out, the Avenger comes out. So instead of taking their time to build the universe up, no, we have to rush immediately into a universe. And what I appreciate about this movie is that, like, yeah, they have inklings of that with the Justice Gang and everything, but like you can tell they're also gonna like take their time with it too.
Which Justice
And
Gang is the coolest name ever, by the way. I don't care what anybody says.
oh my God. I'm really interested to see how they explore that in Peacemaker, which comes out in like 3 weeks. But no, I mean, like, what I especially love is that you could tell, and I mean, they mentioned in interviews that All Star Superman was like kind of the real basis for it. And I mean, anything Grant Morrison or Alan Moore, I'm obsessed with, and Grant Morrison did um, All Star Superman. I don't know if you've ever seen the animated movie of that. That's the one. Just to give you a reminder, that's the one where Lex Luthor decides he's going to give Superman super cancer. He like makes Superman fly into the sun. No, it
This is
sounds
so
ridiculous.
over the top, but
It's
like,
so over it's so over the top, but also like in that context, you've never seen Superman more human. And circling back to this movie, the fact that we're seeing for the first time the people kind of hate him in the same way that is funny. I was just watching a video, the worst thing Darkseid's ever done to Superman. Shout out Needle Mouse Productions. But it was in the finale of the original show, Darkseid brainwashes him into thinking he's like his son, and then he like fucks over the earth, and the people never trust him from that. And then in the rest of that animated universe, they have to he kind of has to deal with the fact that people are never going to trust him. And they basically did this setup in the movie because now the government like doesn't trust him. Like you see at the end with Frank Flag Flag Senior, Rick Flag Senior, and the other guy. Who the other guy was great. I don't know what character he was playing. I've
I
seen
don't
that
know
actor
who
in
it
a
was,
lot of
but he
things.
rocked. Everyone in this movie was so good. But I feel like the most unrealistic thing about the whole, like spoilers, I'm sure people have probably seen it by now,
Yeah.
but the whole message at the end of it being like, oh, I actually sent you to Earth to take it over and have a harem of women. Realistically, in this day and age, you know people would have followed him. Like everyone's saying, like, oh, okay, oh my god, we don't like Superman anymore. How many people write love letters to serial killers? There 100% would have been people who would be like, well, if we side with him. But I don't know. I don't know if I loved the whole idea of having the backstory be, instead of like, oh, they just sent him to Earth and he can do the most good, it's send him to Earth to take it over. I mean, it seemed very out of place, but I get the idea he's going for, that it's not that your parents determine who you are, it's the actions you do in life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like what Pa Ken said later in the movie. It makes sense. But it just felt like such a bizarre twist on such a very hopeful character to have that, where it's like all of a sudden they're like, yeah, just go to Earth, take it over, and have so many wives and just wipe out the human race.
Yeah, I feel like there's got to be a catch to that, and I mean, to be honest, if there's any like complaints that come out of this movie, it's that point for sure. I remember someone said like, yeah, no, I didn't know. I doubted that the entire time until Mr. Terrific said, yeah, no, it's accurate. I'll fucking believe anything that guy says, which like valid. Like honestly, until Mr. Terrific confirmed it, I'm like, what where are we going with this? But I mean, in theory, they did have. See, I mean, I don't need everything spoon fed to me, but clearly half of the message was already translated because how would Superman have known um, what the first half of the message said? So they clearly figured out some way to figure it out. But there's got to be a twist to that, you know?
And Mr. Terrific rocked, by the way. He was fucking amazing in this movie. You were telling me all about him when we went to see the movie. Never heard of this guy before. He was in, like, what, Blacklist? Is that what you said it was?
Yeah, yeah. Edie Gaffigi's he's fantastic. He was in I first saw him in House. He was like a supporting character for a season on House, but he played a really good villain on the Blacklist who unironically like he basically played Mr. Terrific like he played that character on the show, only on that show the character didn't have like, you know, the T-spears and all that shit, but like I
Not
knew he
circles,
could
they're spheres. Big difference.
literally. Um I knew he was gonna hit this kind of like anti-hero type of notes really well. Um and he definitely did. Though part of me wonders, I don't know if you heard this, but part of me wonders like, okay, if we're going with the if we're going with the idea that he has the kind of wealth and success he does in the comics, Mr. Terrific, right? Like he's like a god tier athlete, like
He's loaded.
went to college when he was like fucking 9, like
Doesn't he
all
have like
that
a
shit.
million PhDs or something ridiculous?
Yeah, like if we're going off of that, why is he working under Maxwell Lord with the Justice Gang? But I feel like that could be he could be with them to kind of figure out what Lord is up to because ultimately Maxwell Lord is scum. We know this
Oh
to be
yeah.
true. We know this to be true. And it makes me wonder if they're gonna follow kind of some of his plot lines today. I mean, we won't really get a sense of that until Peacemaker, but I'm very curious if they're gonna go the Infinite Crisis route of things with him.
I mean, not just Mr. Terrific, but all the supporting characters were perfect in this. I think James Gunn has this really great way of writing the most asshole characters that you love to hate. Like Guy Gardner Green Lantern was perfect. Having him be just a total douche fits exactly the personality he has in the comics, but it also works with Nathan Fillion pulling that off absolutely perfectly. It's like every scene he's in, you roll your eyes because you're like, this guy is the worst, but you're made to do it. You want to do that.
I know. I love one of my favorite twists on Guy Gardner and knowing James Gunn, I wouldn't be surprised if he did this at all, was like obviously his backstory comes from a broken home, you know, military, all that shit. But one of them was like he was a pretty good guy and then he got like a concussion or like brain damage and then just like woke up and became an absolute fucking dick. Like but still had kind of that like innate value to like be a hero and shit, but just like was a complete dick. And I like would not be. I actually think I'm pretty sure why I'm thinking of this is I'm pretty sure Nathan Fillion literally said that um the way he played him was like that. I think it was like in the comics he got hit by a bus and like went into a coma, and when he woke up from the coma he was never really the same. And I would not be surprised knowing James Gunn if that's the route. It's just interesting though that we're starting 3 years into this Superman's, you know, career, right? And some of these heroes have already gone through their origin stories. Like, for example, how a lot of comics have handled it is um Metamorpho, for example, becomes Metamorpho like long after the Justice League is already like kind of established. but he's already metamorpho and he's already married and has a kid in this world. So it's like, damn, Gunn's playing like pretty. He's playing tight to the comics, but he's playing kind of loose as to the actual like timeline. Like you can't I mean, I wouldn't say the timeline he's setting up is like one to one with any particular plot line, more so than just trying to get a lot of them to come together, but not in a way where it's like forced, you know?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is I was so sick of seeing all these origin stories, and I'm so glad the last couple of years they were like, okay, we all know who Spider-Man is, you all know who Fantastic Four is, you all know who Superman is. You do not need to see this stuff again. I don't need to see Superman coming in the pod, down from Krypton, being raised. Like that would have taken up half the movie, and it would have been a total waste of time.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they're just like, you know what? Fuck it. You've seen it. Who cares? Move past it. We're done. Like,
And and well, plus if they're gonna go that route with it too, if we're gonna dodge origin stories like for the most known people, especially why are you gonna do origins like the origin story for Superman when we're probably gonna get a good bit of that in Supergirl? Like, why are you
yeah.
like you don't want to do that back to back? Because like here's the thing, Supergirl's never really had that big kind of movie. I mean, the only real live action thing she's been in was in the fucking CW shit, which to be fair, the Supergirl in that is actually one of the better parts of that whole
Was that
kerfuffle.
like
But
Smallville or something like that?
um, I'm thinking of the 2010 Supergirl one that's in the
Oh, with the
that's
really
a
bad
part.
CGI.
Yeah, but the way she plays the but the way well, I mean, it's the same thing with the Flash. Like even though the show is fucking bad, like
Oh, the Flash was so bad.
the guy who plays the Flash is a good Barry Allen, like all things considered, you
I will
know.
say I do feel bad for him because every time that show is brought up, I'm like, that show sucks. But he is so good that I feel bad saying the show sucks. It's almost like you want to be like, he's great. Everything else about it is trash.
That's what happens with a lot of those live action DC TV shows, especially that the shows are all very hokey, but there are like really good character. Like, I mean, like I honestly, I feel like some of my favorite Penguin and Riddler adaptations are from Gotham. And then I like watch the rest of that show and I'm like, what the fuck have you done to my boy? Like
You
in gangs
massacred my boy.
yeah, like in Gangs in New York when the guy comes running out like, that's my boy, like and he's like dead on the ground. Like that's literally what I feel like with Gotham. Like the way oh my God, I'm not even gonna go into that. But um yeah, I mean that's going back to what you said, like every side character in this movie, like every character that had a line was interesting as fuck. Like he actually is making like such a good mythos for it. I mean, there are some characters where I'm like what are you doing here? Like there were a couple people in the Daily Planet when they were in that ship where I'm like, okay, you and you haven't said a word the whole movie. Like
Yeah, when they had that final scene of everyone like cheering and jumping in slow motion, I'm like, half these people haven't done anything.
yeah,
They were just there.
the guy who was playing Ron Troop in particular is who I'm talking about because Beck Bennett and
Yeah. I
Cat
did
and Beck Bennett and Cat Grant at least had lines and were funny. Ron Troop I actually don't think had a line in the whole movie, which
was
is
that the
weird
dude with the
because
mustache?
yeah, which is weird because he
Yeah.
what do you call it? He's actually had a lot of he's been like a good heel to like Superman. He's like very like level-headed. They did a really good interpretation of him. Well, they switched his gender to a woman. I don't know if you've watched My Adventures with Superman at all. I
Oh, the
think
animated one, right?
yeah, yeah, like that one I think is a great interpretation because I mean like everyone at the Daily Planet is like very um kind of edgy, but this guy played like the idea of Ron Troop is that he's like very, deadpan with it. I mean, not to say Perry White isn't either, but
I mean, I will say of
um
everyone at the Daily Planet, the whole thing that didn't really work for me was the I don't know why, but I want to keep calling him Jimmy Smits, even though I know that's Bail Organa from Star Wars. Like, every time I was trying to come up with notes for this, and I'm like, I keep writing Jimmy Smits, Jimmy Smits, Jimmy Smits, and I'm like, it's like it's Jimmy Olsen, isn't it?
yeah,
Okay,
Jimmy Olsen.
I'm just picturing Jimmy Smits at the Daily Planet, just sitting there and like a really bad Jimmy Smits impression of like, Superman, we must go and save Aldar. Like, I don't know. I just keep picturing that. But like, I couldn't get behind the whole plot hinged on that supermodel being like, Jimmy, I want to be with you. And he's like, no. I it was so it was like almost too much James Gunn in a sense, if you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it was so repeatedly over the top that everyone kept being like, but Jimmy, she's hot. And he's like, no, she's not. No, it's like it felt like it was a very much early 2000s kind of thing of being like,
Mhm.
check out this dummy who doesn't understand what's going on. Like, and the whole plot hinged on her wanting to be with him to send him photos. So the entire plot just hinged on women thinking this guy is attractive.
I don't know, man. Like, yes, if anyone like your end has an issue with it, totally get it, understand. I fucking love that. I thought it was hilarious, and I could dig. I mean, I was very surprised that Eve Teschmacher, who like literally was an original character created for like the first Richard Donner Superman, right? Like as Lex Luthor's girlfriend in that they bring her back for this movie and she's like the one who like exposes him. That was crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like so curious what they're gonna do with Jimmy. I mean, like they're saying they're thinking of doing a Mr. Terrific show, and then but like, and I get that, like that I could see easily. But they're saying like they'll do a Jimmy Olsen show, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about all
A Jimmy
that.
Smits show.
Yeah, the Jimmy Smith show. Like, no, I mean, I loved it. I mean, Skylar Gisondo, I think, was fantastic at that. And yeah, no, I mean, he was great. Well, apparently he was in the Amazing Spider-Man movies too, but we'll forget those existed.
He,
So
oh my god, you can't pay
he's
me to
but
rewatch
Skylar
those.
Gisondo is like one of those people. It's funny, he's actually our age. He's like one of those people who's been in movies for like probably since like the mid 2000s, but has only really made kind of this come up in the last like 4 or 5 years. It's like Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell's also been around forever. I mean, you fucking look at him in The Dark Knight Rises or whatever when
Oh my god,
Bane kicks the
yes.
shit out of him at the desk. Yeah, like he was irrelevant. Like I mean, yeah, like as far as Hollywood's concerned, he was irrelevant until 5, 6 years ago. So it happens. Some people are late bloomers, but
I mean, one thing we haven't really even hit on yet is uh, obviously Lex Luthor and Superman. Both
oh
were fantastic. Like after the movie, I said to you, they turned around. I'm like, I could legitimately see this Lex Luthor actually building a huge like robotic suit that's green and purple to kick
mhm.
Superman's ass because he's just that petty.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone hit on the pettiness the same kind of way. It was funny. I was kind of getting not to the same level of Pedro Pascal. What do you call it?
In every
Like
movie he's in, show
yeah,
now.
like yeah, yeah. I'm missing the word, but like sick of that. And I kind of was feeling the same way about Nicholas Hoult. But man, between this and like fucking Nosferatu, man, I just need to shut the fuck up because he knows what the fuck he's doing. He was so good as Lex. I've never seen a better Lex on screen.
It was
Never.
the perfect Lex of being like losing his cool when things aren't going his way, but also being 10 steps ahead and super calm and collected at the same time. Like him being like, oh, he's studied Superman for 3 years, having all the moves down so that he can say to Ultraman, who I think is just gonna end up being Bizarro. It's like it's gotta be that. There's no other explanation. But having him just beat the shit out of Superman and him just shouting 1A, 2B, like getting out all the numbers because he knew exactly what Superman was gonna try and do was perfect. That's the exact energy that Lex Luthor needs is someone who's like, I hate this guy so very much. And of course, when he's aura farming too, at the Fortress of Solitude, the engineer's
Yo,
going around kicking ass,
yo,
and he's
literally
just like, I
like
have my fur
boo
coat and
boo.
I look badass.
Yo, when he was holding the gun shooting the fucking robots, that was badass. But I will say like that was very Gun too, where it's like, yeah, dude, this fucking like normal human is just like dodging these fucking like these like rotating saws, like literally 2 millimeters from his face. Like, okay, man, I kind of had to throw a grain of salt with that. Um, Going
But it
back to
looked
the
cool as shit.
it did, it did. No, that scene, there were a lot of good action scenes. That one might have been my favorite, and I was almost surprised. See, what was interesting about how they tackled this is I feel like it's been a long time since I've seen a superhero movie. Um, we've had ones recently where they start throwing you into the action. This literally threw you right in. Like that scene happened like maybe 40 minutes into
Yeah.
the fucking movie.
The
Like,
very first scene is him landing in the ice, and he just got his
yeah,
ass kicked.
yeah. Oh my God. I mean, that whole plot line was interesting with Jar and Purr and Baravia. That was interesting how like,
Wait,
but I
you
mean,
actually remember the names of those places? I
no,
only remember Bravia, and I was like, Jaristan? Like, I couldn't remember it because I was like, I just, the plot of that was cool, but part of it was just so forgettable of like, the, was president of Baravia was just
oh, Basil,
common. Yeah.
President Gert goes, yeah, and then fucking Hot Girl goes, yeah, and then
Yeah.
fucking Ruthos.
That might be the best impression I think I've heard in a long time.
Literally, dude. Yeah, she played a great what do you call it? She's not doing the it's not Shayera Hot Girl. It's I think it's Kendra Saunders Hot Girl, who's like one of the more modern ones. So it's not I think that they'll probably explain it in Peacemaker, but Kendra Saunders is reincarnated from what do you call it? There's like this whole you know how in the Justice League show there's like the whole thing where like they explain Hawk Girl and Hawk Guy, Hawk Man,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck, as like reincarnating from like
Hawk
those
Child,
ancient
Hawk Tua.
yeah, Hawk Tuah like being reincarnations. Kendra Saunders is a reincarnation of either Shayera or Shayera's ancestor. It's not the hot girl we typically know from the cartoons, but um, I thought she did great with it. To be honest with you,
I mean, I
what
will
was like?
say
Yeah, go for it.
the whole Ultraman thing was really cool, and I really enjoyed that. And obviously, David Corenswet had such range to show of just him playing Superman and then him being this like brutish, stupid force of just actual anger. But the
Hmm.
only thing I thought was odd, and I know they wanted to save it for like the reveal, being like, "Oh my god, it's a clone of a clone." To have him be dressed up basically like Black Noir and not talking was kind of weird. I kept
Well,
thinking in my head, I'm like, did they just? They must have just watched The Boys or something. Like, this looks cool.
it's funny you're circling back to what you said about like how in the modern day people would just like accept Superman with the harem. Like, I mean, fucking A, the boys. He literally laser beams that protester, and everyone's like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
woo,
it's
he's
like,
killing
whoa,
it,
so cool.
woo!"
Do it again. Do it
And like,
again.
it's like, yeah, I mean, I can't, you can't say they wouldn't do that with Superman, but where
Yeah,
I think
Superman
they're
would just
going,
laser somebody in half or like freeze them to death, and people would be like, "That was badass." Did you
yeah.
see that?
Literally. What I think is going to happen is Bizarro is going to be in that black hole. There's no sun, so the color is going to flush out of him. But at some point, you know, being all like his, I mean, he's a dumbass. The whole thing of Bizarro he's a dumbass.
Yeah,
But I think somehow in that black hole universe, he's going to figure out a way to be slightly less of a dumbass, and he'll start talking. Because I mean, like that was like one thing. I mean, I'm glad once again, I don't want people to spoon feed me, but I am interested how he was able to kind of interpret um like they had that whole system of giving him the commands and stuff. I'm so curious how if they had like an interface in his brain or like how that was necessarily working.
well, I mean, the
But
whole thing would have been, I think, a little ridiculous if they're like, he's so stupid, isn't it bizarre? And then they like, if they started doing shit like that, I'd be like, okay, like, I prefer let this evolve, and all I really want is in a future Superman movie to have him come back and actually talking like Bizarro, because I feel like all these directors are afraid to do it, but I would throw so much money at the screen if James Gunn actually made a movie, Bizarro comes in, he's just like, me angry. Like, lean into the absurdity of it because it's that ridiculous. Like, go all out.
No, 100%. 100%. What do you think about Lois and Clark's relationship?
I thought it was really well done, actually. It's, Clark is still trying to figure out how to be Clark and how to be Superman and how to control his emotions. And I really like that whole back and forth where he's like, oh, I'll give you a special interview as Superman. And he doesn't like being questioned because he's like, I'm trying to do good. Why can't you see that I'm trying to be helpful? But there's also laws and rules that we all have to follow. So I like that whole like tension building back and forth that they haven't quite figured out how to make it work, but they're trying. And it's
Mm-hmm.
more realistic too. It's having it just be perfect doesn't make any sense. I mean, look at what was it, Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, where he couldn't figure out the whole relationship with him and MJ, and he was like, am I Spider-Man? Am I Peter Parker? Who am I to MJ? It feels like a lot like that, where he's like, how do I balance these three different parts of my life?
Mm.
And it felt just like a more realistic thing. It felt more human, which is what Superman needs to be. Is like he's like this otherworldly being that is incredibly strong, but he also struggles with trying to be more human and the basic elements of what that means.
Yeah, I mean, the entire fucking premise is he is an alien who has relatively human biology, aside for the fact that yellow sunlight makes him a giga god. But like otherwise, like Kryptonians are very similar to humans, especially like when they're under their red sun. And it's like, and I mean, going back to the whole, like the whole create the harem thing, like, just because these people have their ideas, like those Kryptonians have their ideas, like, going but like with Zod and Ursa and all of them, like too, like, does not mean every single Kryptonian is like that. That's the whole thing. It's this movie did a really good job with that whole plot line was kind of like nature versus nurture. Like, is it in his nature to be a conqueror, or if he's nurtured by these fucking people, the Kents, does he turn
Mom,
into,
pa.
yeah, mom and pa, like does he turn into um something different? And he did. He wasn't made, he's not, just because his biology is Kryptonian doesn't make him any less human than anyone else, which is kind of like what he's saying at the end to Lex, which, oh my God, dude, like, if I was Lex Luthor in that last scene, like where everything goes wrong, he's getting exposed on the thing, dude, like, I don't know, man. I'm grabbing that pistol I was shooting the super robots with, and I'm saying sayonara, dog. Now,
Yeah,
the thing,
it's
the
all
thing
over
is,
at
though,
that point.
he's too much of an egomaniac to ever kill himself. So, you know.
I mean, I just loved the whole idea of that too. Just him not being able to take that Superman is trying to be more human. He's like, you can't be human. You're an alien, and I don't like you at all. Like everyone's worshiping Superman. He's like, no, they should worship me. Simply being motivated by being petty. I love that. Those are some of the best villains too. Like
Mm.
you can have all these crazy motives, but sometimes just pure hatred for stupid reasons makes for a great villain.
And that's why he was such a good Lex Luthor, because he had the dynamics of like where Lex is so logical, so calculating, so with it, but also tackle the fact that, yeah, he can shut off his emotions a lot of the time, but when they do come out, they're very reckless. They're very like, for a guy who is literally like so logical, the way he becomes illogical is like so absurd. He can literally turn the engineer into like a fucking modern marvel, and it create these kaiju aliens, all this other shit. But oh no, a human looking alien? Whoa, no way could he ever be good. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, the perfect example of all of it is the difference in when Superman comes in looking for Krypto, and he's like flinging tables over. He's all up in Lex's face, and Lex is like, "I don't know where your stupid fucking dog is." He's like, "Not my problem." And as he's having the coffee, he's like, "Yeah, I know exactly where he is." Like that, and then when they're in the pocket dimension, it's like, oh, this is Lex ex's girlfriend who broke up with him. He threw her in here and she's stuck here forever. Like the two sides of Lex. Being the ultra petty person who's like, no, you try to break up with me. No, no, no. I'm keeping you trapped here forever. Good luck, bitch. Versus I have already thought 10 steps ahead of filming this and making you look way worse than you are. And I don't care about your dog, but I'm doing this anyway. Like, which, by the way, that is the most normal, insane reaction to have to anything. Is if someone took my dog, I'd be doing the same shit. I'd start flipping tables over. I would be doing all that too. So that's like another more relatable thing. He's like, where's the dog? Which it's just anyone whenever you go to a place that has a dog. You're just like, where's the dog? That's all they care about.
Dude, like literally just like talk about aura farming, dude. Literally mewing in his face, like drinking coffee, like
He's like, oh, do you want to get
stupid
angry?
dog, stupid dog, a little cape. Oh yes, you film all of this. Yes.
Like as over the top as it was of like almost too cartoonishly evil, it works so well for Lex.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lex just needs to be that guy that you're like, God, why are you such an insufferable asshole? Like Superman did nothing to you. You're just there because you're a hater.
Literally the
But Nicholas
ultimate
Hoult
hater.
Nicholas Hoult crushed it. David Corenswet was an awesome Superman and a great Clark Kent too. You know, it's
Yeah.
hard to play. They're both very different roles because they
Mm-hmm.
require a different attitude of, Clark is more reserved. He's trying to figure out he's a little shy, where Superman is all just he's there. He's out there in the open. So playing those perfectly, he did a really, really great job with that. And a more like human Superman too.
I'd almost argue, like going along with that, I'd almost argue he played like three different type of characters so well. He played the Clark Kent who's got to, put up the facade. He played, the Superman who's Superman, but then he played the version of Clark that's with Lois, where he can actually be in, like with his parents, where he can actually be both at the same time, like almost like his combined personality traits of like the, smarminess of Clark Kent and, kind of boldness of Superman in kind of one form. It's hard. The thing is, and it's not a Dr.
Here's
Jekyll,
the
Mr.
thing.
Hyde. And yeah, here's the thing. Yeah, I'm sure we'll make plenty of stupid Fantastic Four references as we gear up for that. But he's not Superman isn't Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and like a guy who has an S on his chest who like fucking, shoots people.
Where I come from, S means hope.
I hate that. I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't go with that.
Hope starts with an H. Stupid.
That's one of the corniest things. Oh God, it was so refreshing though. I mean, ultimately, I like him more than I ever did Cavill, but I do feel bad because Cavill did play. I don't think Cavill ever really played Clark that well, but I did like some of his Superman, and I really hope they find a way to integrate him in, like they're making Momoa Lobo. Like I hope they find a role that Cavill can kind of fit into. I'm not sure what that is yet, but
I mean, I will not stand Henry Cavill slander because he's the ultimate nerd. The dude plays Warhammer too. Come on.
it just occurred to me. Well, I don't know. He's got big physique, so maybe not. But obviously, I think they're going to integrate Jaime's Blue Beetle into the universe. Gunn already said he wants to, but I think the problem is they did have a Ted Kord in that movie. See, I didn't see that movie. I would love because
I refuse to watch it. I was like, oh, it's
yeah,
the dying breath of the DCEU. No
yeah,
thanks.
truly, truly. But like Cavill plays a lot of spy roles, so I wonder if they could find a way to do him with, or like kind of like suave like type of roles. So I mean, I don't know if there was a world he could be like a Ted Kord Blue Beetle type. I don't know. I hope that because Gunn has said he wants to, if there's a role that opens, he'd want to integrate him. Because I mean, like Cavill is very passionate about. He's a fucking nerd, like you said. He's
Yeah.
very passionate about the things he cares about, and like clearly he would be great. It's just hard because obviously Momoa is kind of more of this chameleon type where Momoa kind of looks different in like a lot of different movies, so it wouldn't be like we're really batting an eye per se. Whereas you look at Henry Cavill and it's like, oh, hey, that's Henry Cavill.
Super
So that might,
recognizable.
yeah, so that might be hard to work it in, which is why I said Blue Beetle, because half the time he's in the fucking suit. But I digress.
I mean, overall, I think Superman 2025 was just a fantastic movie. It was really
Agreed.
well done. And I think it's one of those things that makes me excited about looking forward to the rest of the Gunn uh, DC cinematic universe of this. Whatever it is it DCU now? Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, they're just calling it the DCU. Yeah.
Whatever they're doing, I'm gonna be watching because this is a great way to start it off, and everything just felt so already connected without being hitting you over the head. And even the post credit scenes, you don't need to have everything connected via that. It's just they're ridiculous. They're silly. Like who cares?
They went back to like the Avengers post credit scenes where
The
it's literally
shawarma
just like,
shop.
yeah, it's just fun it's just fun slice of life shit where you kind of get to see more of the characters like when they're not necessarily in these like huge heroic scenarios, you know.
Well, overall, I thought it was really awesome. What would you recommend it to?
I mean, duh. I'd say this was a flick. I'd say
Nice.
not a flop.
We'll have plenty of those. I wish we had started this when we saw Craven because I would have had so much to say on that.
Oh, it's funny when you said the thing about the ooh, he's quite bizarre. I'm like imagining like they say that and then and then fucking Jared Leto comes in like, oh, it's Morbin time, and then like they all fucking come in like Power Rangers bullshit. Oh God, fuck that. No, I mean I'm very excited for what is coming next in the DCU. So I mean, and it seems like they're really focusing more on like a couple movies a year with some shows, but as well. So I mean, seems like they're taking their time with it. There's no rush for some big Justice League movie, and to be honest, there shouldn't be. Like,
I mean,
make
take your
it
time,
pace
build
it
up.
right.
If you're gonna
The
rush
event,
it, it's gonna be bad.
the Avengers worked because they built it up.
Yeah,
Okay, and I feel like that's very often forgotten. But I mean, like we're dealing with fucking Warner Brothers here. Like, what do you know? They don't have the greatest track record when it comes to following the vision of what makes sense as opposed to what makes money. So I don't know.
well, I think that about does it for this one. And I think we're gonna keep an eye on the future ones. It's probably gonna be Fantastic Four next. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the biggest one coming out. But
Yeah, no, let's hope the next one's a fleck and not a flop. But if it is a flop, believe me, we'll have plenty to say regardless. So
I feel like I might have more to say if it's a flop than a flick.
yeah, me too.
All right, catch you later, man.
Adios.